Welcome. Today is June 25th, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Mireya Sanchez, and I am the co-director of Chelan-Douglas County Volunteer Attorney Services here in Wenatchee, and I'll be conducting today's interview for the Office of Chelan County Clerk. So with me today is Samantha Thompson, who we're very glad to have here today. Thank you for being here.
Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah, this interview is going to be recorded and it will be made available to the public. We've talked about that. The questions that you're going to be asked today were drawn from the experiences of community members, clients, and the legal community in general who've had interactions with the clerk's office. So they do reflect real needs and curiosity from people that the office serves. We have about 5 to 6 questions. We'll give you about 2 to 3 minutes to answer each one. And if it starts to run a little bit long, we'll just give you a quick heads up. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. To get us started, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers? Maybe share a little bit about why you're running and what strengths you think you'll bring to the clerk's office.
Perfect. I am Samantha Thompson. I have worked at the clerk's office for 11 years. I am the first manager. So with that, I scan and upload, I identify documents, I maintain the documents. So anything that comes into the clerk's office through the counter or whatnot, I usually touch at some point. Normally, that consists of about 200 to 400 documents per day. And then my previous training, I did management for Staples for about 15 years. I did that, and I gained a lot of experience on management and how to run a good team. So I think bringing that to the table would be helpful for the clerk's office. I think that with the training experience that I have with Staples and also with my other job ambitions, with we do constant training with them and bringing that to the clerk's office of having that continuous training to keep everybody up to date and everybody on the same page and everybody in the clerk's office equal so that everybody can do everything will be an amazing help for the clerk's office. So anybody can help anybody equally instead of needing to go grab somebody or whatnot. That would be a great thing to happen. And I think that I can help make that happen. And with the background that I have for doing those things would be very helpful for the clerk's office.
Okay, thank you for that. So we'll go ahead and get started with the questions. The first one is more about the role of the clerk's office when it comes to access to justice. So in the legal aid community, there is frequent discussion regarding access to justice, and it's something that we're always working towards increasing. We see the clerk's office as a natural partner in that, as it's usually people's first stop when they have a legal matter. So tell us what role you see the clerk and the clerk's office playing in helping to ensure access to justice for residents of Chelan County.
Again, I think that the training is going to be huge because if somebody comes into the clerk's office and they're asking for help and they're turned away because somebody might think they need to be in a different department and then the other department sends them back up. I want that training to make the person not have to go run around and have to come back later and say, well, they said to come back up here. So that will be important to have them know where to go. I think that another part with it is us being able to have access to documents easier than we do now when either calling and getting the document sent to you instead of having to go online, just making that whole process easier for customers to be able to get whenever they're coming up to the counter.
Okay, thank you. The next question has a little bit to do with barriers to access. So in our community, we find that those with the greatest need, especially folks who are low income or experiencing a financial hardship, they can really struggle with meeting requirements, filing requirements such as fees. And then also, you sometimes have people who struggle with access to technology that's meant to simplify the process. So, with those things in mind, what is one thing that our community can count on you to do or prioritize as clerk in service of that access?
We do have computers that are available for people to get access for the technology to maybe look at things that they can't do, and we can help them with that. Financially wise, we are able to do forms that people can fill out there in the office. If they're filing something, we can give them those forms to get things less expensive or even to make the fee go away completely for whatever it is that might be filing, depending on what it is. And it really depends on the situation of what it might be, but we can definitely help them get to what they need or at least get them to where they need to be.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'm going to ask a question about how the clerk's office works with the court side of things. Many community members don't realize that the clerk's office and the judges are overseen by two different branches of government. So can you explain in simple terms what this means and what are some of the benefits and challenges to the public of having these separate systems as it relates to that access to justice?
The clerk's office is in charge for the filings of the papers that come in for the judges. It's best that the judges and the clerk's office work hand in hand. It makes everything work easier. And that goes along with the judges and all of them, the prosecutor's office, the juvenile office, all of them. The clerk's office is the heartbeat of all of those offices. They can't function without us being there. So all of their paperwork comes to us, and from there it gets disseminated into whatever it is that it's happening. And then it comes to judges, and that's where the hearing is. But without us working hand in hand with all of them, it would out our different identities, but it is very helpful that we work together.
Okay, so on that note, as a follow-up, what are some ways that you envision you might implement to make sure you stay in sync with judges' chambers so that clients are always getting that clear, consistent information about what needs to be filed?
Definitely communication. There would always be a constant communication uh, with them. Uh, with our process, again, going back to training and making sure everybody's trained consistently so that our linking process is done and caught up so the judges can see when their hearings are. So people don't come in and find out their hearing wasn't on the calendar because it wasn't linked. So now they have to reschedule for 2 weeks out. And that's an inconvenience to some people.
Mm.
So it's important that we're trained well enough that we're caught up and we're communicating with the judges and everything's working in sync. And then the community isn't having to reschedule and come back later or take more time off of their jobs, which everybody needs their jobs to pay their bills, and nobody wants to take vacation time to come to court. So that's important to have it done right the first time.
Okay, thank you. So, talking about filing and all of that, here at CDCVAS, all of our clients are self-represented with very few exceptions. So these clients often rely on resources that we're providing them or referrals that we make to county offices for assistance with filing or documentation requirements. So, what are some approaches that you would want to bring to the clerk's office for those self-represented clients, and especially if they're filing with a fee waiver, which can add confusion for some people? And the questions are in the chat as well.
I don't know how to make it click.
Do you
Oh,
want me to
thank
do you want me to repeat the last part
you.
of it?
Yes, can you
Okay.
repeat the last part of
Yeah. The
it?
last part, yeah, just the question part is what are some approaches that you want to bring to the clerk's office to support self-represented clients, especially if they're filing with additional forms like a fee waiver?
Well, I mean, we if they've already seen you guys, then usually their paperwork is already good to go with that kind of thing. If they needed additional help or wanted additional help or maybe a second opinion of some sort, we have our court facilitators that it would also be the fee waiver would be work for them to not have to pay a fee for them. So I think that it would be again a training because if whomever is helping them at the counter is confused about what the fee waiver is and how to file that, there should be no confusion. In your office, if they're bringing it in, you're telling them you're going to file this. There's not going to be a fee. You'll get a copy. You'll do what you need to do, and that's that. So if we're telling them you're missing something, well then there's some sort of communication loss there. So yeah, and it's either a training issue on our end, and I'm assuming that everything's done correctly on your end. So yeah, that I think that circles back again to the training. And we are there at the clerk's office. We're not attorneys, so we shouldn't deny anybody any of their filings. If somebody brings something to file, we file it for them. And even if they want to file something and they don't have the money to pay for the filing, we still file whatever it is they're filing. If they go and see the judge and they haven't paid the filing fee, the judge at that point can order them to pay the filing fee. That's not what we do. That's not our job.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. So we are down to our last question. We have talked a lot about access to justice. We use the term a lot during, this conversation. So tell me, with everything that you've shared today in mind, what does access to justice mean to you?
Oh, it's for people who can't get help or doesn't know where to go for help to be able to get that help where they can feel safe to go somewhere where they're not judged and they can be heard without being in a public place or being seen by many people, maybe feeling afraid or sad or whatever it might be, and or scared, and being treated equally as the next person without, again, judgment, and getting the job done of whatever it is they're looking for to get done.
Okay, thank you. Well, that was the last question, so that concludes our interview today. Thank you to Samantha Thompson for your time and your thoughtful responses today. We really appreciate your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you.